Nah, 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 nah. Hey, welcome back, my friend. BjjBrick Quick. My name is Byron. This is your quick jiu-jitsu podcast. Today, we're talking about my uncle. I've got a lot of uncles. They're all pretty interesting people. I've got an uncle. His name is Dumont. He has, I don't even know. I know he's done several Ironmans. He's, I think he's in his late 70s now. I don't really know how old he is. He's one of my older uncles. But he did, I don't know, he's still active now. But, he did that stuff when I was just a little tiny Byron growing up. And he said something a while back that kind of surprised me. He likes to hop on his bike and ride 30 miles, 60 miles. The Ironman is a 100-mile bike ride with a full marathon, and I don't know how far the swim is. It might be a mile. It's an all-day event and part of the night. But he likes to get on his bike and ride. And he bought his wife, who is about his age, an electronic bike, an e-bike. And he really liked it for her because now she could ride with him for a little while. Now, I have no doubt he can, and I don't know how fit he is at this any given time, but he could outride a battery. He's that much of a endurance athlete. But all this time that he would ride his bike in, pre e-bike days, and I, in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, whatever, she can't run with him. She can't ride a bike next to him. And I don't know how good of a swimmer she is, but she wasn't doing that as well. And so he would go out and do these activities for long chunks of time. You're training for an endurance event without his wife, which is just part of the way it was. But with this e-bike, she could ride with him. And it's not the same as riding a regular bike, obviously. But he could go to a hilly spot and get a great workout, and his wife can be there with him. As I'm trying to, figure out what's best for, my situation and with my wife, and I look at that as a great example. She doesn't have the same enjoyments that I do from jiu-jitsu. She enjoys learning the technique. She enjoys, rolling. If it's a kind of a competitive roll, she doesn't like getting her butt kicked. She doesn't like, she doesn't like a bad roll or a tough roll. She likes it to be fairly fun. She's not trying to, really push herself. She's happy to explore the art, to learn some techniques, to make some friends, or whatever. But I do enjoy the tough rolls, the rolls where they don't go so good for Byron. Those are fun to me. I don't want to get nothing but those, but I take those, and they're in a happy category for me. So what's the e-bike equivalent for my wife? And it doesn't need to be, e-bikes are expensive. I think it's just being careful who you roll with. She enjoys, the warm-ups and the techniques and the drilling. But if she rolls with 5 people, and one of those people is, not friendly, or, gives her a good cross face or whatever, it wasn't a good day of jiu-jitsu for her. And so I'm trying to give her, a little bit of, it's okay to tell somebody that you're gonna sit out this round. You don't have to roll every round. If the last person to roll or to partner up with you, you didn't have a good roll the last time you rolled with them, or the last 5 times, don't roll with that person. Sit out. It's perfectly fine to watch around. And and that's hard for her to do. And she mostly just prefers to beat up on me and to get a little back and forth with me. Obviously she knows me better than anybody on the mats, but I like his. He was so happy that his wife can now ride a bike next to him. And I don't, if my wife didn't enjoy jiu-jitsu, which a lot of your spouses probably just like, this is not fun at all. I don't enjoy any of this. And that's perfectly fine. They'll find something else to do with their time. Hopefully they have some free time and some hobbies and some fitness activities that they do. But my wife does enjoy most aspects of jiu-jitsu. She just doesn't want to roll with people who just blow her out of the water and suck all the fun out of it. That's her e-bike. Avoid those people. And I think that's important for all of us. Sometimes it's okay to hop on the e-bike when you're riding. If my uncle was going to ride with the only one I know is Lance Armstrong, or I think that's about the end of my list. I guess I could think of a few, but a competitive cyclist, he would need some help. Otherwise, he's just going to ride behind them. He's not going to be able to talk to them. He's not going to be able to watch them and see what they do at certain times. He can't do that. So think about your e-bike for jiu-jitsu. How are you altering it to fit in for what you want to do? If you're bringing somebody else in, it doesn't need to be a spouse. You don't need to bring your husband in or your wife in. You could be bringing a friend in and be thinking, how could you adjust this, even just temporarily, to get them onto that bike and get them riding next to you to where they feel like they're doing jiu-jitsu. If you go to jiu-jitsu and you didn't actually feel like you have done jiu-jitsu that day, it's not a good feeling. Hope this has been a good episode for you guys. If you want to support this podcast, these BjjBrick Quicks, or the whole basic podcast thing, check us out on Patreon. Making some changes there. I used to do it per episode, and then I quit doing that because I'm cranking out an episode every weekday, and that's nobody signed up to pay that much. We used to have a weekly podcast. Or you can check out our audiobook. Go to BjjBrick.com and go to the store. There's an audiobook for your first year in BJJ. If that's you, I think it would help you out. Have a great day, my friend, and stay sweaty.